Imagine a soldier the size of an insect. The ultimate secret weapon.
If you give godlike powers to everyone, it's going to be chaos.
So how do we stop him?
Unknown high. Scott, I've been watching you for a while. You're different. And I believe everyone deserves a shot at redemption. Do you?
Absolutely. My days of breaking into places and stealing stuff are over. What do you want me to do?
I want you to break into a place and steal some stuff.
Makes sense.
Are you ready to become a hero?
Now, the suit has power. You have to learn how to control it. And these are your greatest allies.
They're kind of cute. Whoa.
When you're small, you have superhuman strength. You're like a bullet. So you need to know how to punch.
You want to show me how to punch? Show me how to punch.
That's how you punch.
You tried to hide your suit from me. Now, it's gonna blow up in your face and destroy everyone you care about.
Scott, get out of there!
Did you think you could stop the future? You're just a thing.
No. I'm Ant-Man. I know. It wasn't my idea.
I mean, honestly, if you're not hooked by that last scene alone, then I don't know what was going to sell you on this movie. But welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. Today we've got 4 movies to look at here on July 17th, 2015, including the latest Marvel movie, the latest film from Judd Apatow, Ian McKellen starring as an aging Sherlock Holmes, and the latest film from Woody Allen. So we have a lot to get to here. Let's go ahead and jump on into it and start off with the biggest new release, and that is Ant-Man, which, for some reason, if you don't know the story about Ant-Man, the movie, Edgar Wright was originally attached to direct the film. And then he essentially dropped out of the film, but he was still credited with writing the story and part of the screenplay, and he's listed as one of the executive producers. So he still has association with it, but for some reason, when this movie was coming out, people were using it as a complaint against the movie. And I kind of ranted about this in my original review for it. And I mean, yeah, it sucks that Edgar Wright didn't get to direct the movie, but it probably would have been awesome with him on board. But people really just lost their minds for no reason whatsoever. Like, I really don't think it would have mattered anyway if he had directed in terms of marketing the film, because it's just like, it's not like the trailers and the commercials are going to be like, from the director of Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead. No, it's going to be more like, from the studio that brought you Guardians of the Galaxy and the Avengers. And third, I don't think people went into a movie expecting to not like it because a lesser director had been attached to it. Peyton Reed came in to direct this movie, and he's made a lot of movies that are good comfort food movies. Bring It On, Down with Love. His worst film's The Breakup, but even then, he's not a bad director, and he's proven with these films that he was the perfect guy to take over this film. Yeah, he's no Edgar Wright, but at the same time, he's not a hack director that's just doing this for paycheck. I mean, it really did bug me a lot with this particular movie when Edgar Wright was let go from the project. But hey, he got a chance to direct an action film later on with The Running Man, which is pretty badass. It was actually a pretty good movie. But what about Ant-Man in its current form? Well, I think it's pretty awesome. I think it is actually a very well-made film. So armed with the astonishing ability to shrink in scale but increase in strength, Con-Man Scott Lang, played by Paul Rudd, must embrace his inner hero and help his mentor, Dr. Hank Pym, played by Michael Douglas, protect the secret behind the spectacular Ant-Man suit from a new generation of towering threats. Against some seemingly insurmountable obstacles, Pym and Lang must plan and pull off a heist that will save the world. Despite all the problems going on behind this movie, I thought Marvel did the best possible job they could have done with this. And yeah, Bringing Ant-Man to the screen isn't the most far-fetched job they could have done. I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy in particular was a very risky project in its own merits, because you got a movie where you have a talking raccoon and a talking tree, and you got to sell that to people, and they did a good job with that because James Gunn understood the assignment. And for one thing, I appreciate the idea that this movie knew they weren't going to take this all that seriously, and just decided, let's just make a fun superhero movie that doesn't need to be taken uber seriously. Very much like how Big Hero 6 was the previous year. And there are some emotional moments. Like, you do like the relationship between Scott and his daughter, Hank's relationship with his daughter, played by Evangeline Lilly from Lost, and they are very effective overall. And in terms of casting, I thought Paul Rudd really did a good job selling Scott Lang. He proved he has enough charisma and energy to take that role on, and it's not on the level of something like Star-Lord being played by Chris Pratt the year before, but it's still a really good performance. Michael Douglas in particular was very, very good in this as Hank Pym, but then again, it's Michael Douglas. Even in the worst movies, he's not the worst thing about the movie in general. He's very good. Bobby Cannavale playing Scott's ex-wife's new husband is very good in here. And this is actually the debut for Abby Ryder Fortson, who, of course, has now gone on to become somewhat of a recognizable actress. She was in Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, the movie. And then she just got cast in something very recently, as of the time of recording this. She's going to be Velma in the new Netflix Scooby-Doo series. That was it. But it's also got McKenna Grace in there as Daphne. But yeah, I knew that name sounded familiar, but she was, of course, casting in the first two movies, and then she was replaced by Catherine Newton in Quantumania, which, yeah, the more and more I see Quantumania, the more I really do get to see why people thought that movie was not that great, because, yeah, it's definitely the lesser of the Ant-Man movies. I don't hate it, but, case in point, another reason why that movie kind of falls apart, in this movie, everyone else was pretty good. Corey Stoll was a decent villain in this, even though he was very cartoonishly evil, but then again, he becomes even more ridiculously cartoonish in 2 movies from now when he's playing MODOK in Quantumania. Like, seriously, what the hell was that all about? But Michael Pena is kind of okay in this. Most of everybody else is kind of forgettable in this. Even Evangeline Lilly, who I did say I liked her relationship with Michael Douglas as her father, playing Hope Van Dyne, and later becomes the Wasp. She just came off as unimpressive with this particular movie, but luckily she gets a bigger role in the next couple of movies. So yeah, she will get better as the films go on. Even Judy Greer, who plays Scott's ex-wife, she just shows up every once in a while, and I feel like she really could have used a bigger role to make us care about her more. I mean, it's kind of like what's happened with her with Jurassic World. Just kind of like, you threw her in there, and you don't really give her a whole lot to do, but like Anthony Mackie in here, like, who plays the Falcon in this, because this does take place after the events of Age of Ultron, and I like the fact that the trailer tries to make you think that, when Scott's telling him, I'm Ant-Man, you think he's talking to Corey Stoll, but no, he's talking to Falcon as the new Avengers facility that was at the end of Age of Ultron. I mean, it could have easily been the end of Age of Ultron, where Thanos just shows up to tease Infinity War, but no. Falcon has an extensive fight scene in here that actually plays into the end credit scene that might be taken from the upcoming Captain America Civil War. At least that's what I thought back then, but the movie just kind of adds them in there in the best way they could have done it overall. But the action is really good. The visual effects are spectacular, man. I mean, every sequence with the ants is incredible. You do feel invested in the situation when you see all these ants working together with Scott in the Ant-Man suit. And also, all the shrinking scenes are brilliantly handled for some very creative, fun action sequences, like that train scene at the end there. That was great. Like, using the Thomas the Tank Engine as this dominating threat while this battle's going on, and then it cuts away, and it's just like, oh, it's just little toy cars falling over. Like, that's funny stuff. That's well done stuff. And, the opening scene where you see a 1989 Michael Douglas, I mean, it's impressive to look at here. I know that they use that technology later on for Captain America Civil War, where they have to show a much younger Robert Downey Jr., and they were able to make Douglas look like he would have been in 1989, and it actually looked pretty good. It actually looks flawless, and actually looked well done, and like I said, the final action sequence between Yellow Jacket and Ant-Man, that was probably the most creative and fun action sequence of any blockbuster I had in recent memory. The things they do with the environment that they have are incredible, flat-out hilarious. The Thomas the Tank Engine scene not only does it get a huge laugh in the actual movie, but what they do with it is even more funnier and downright hilarious than you expect it to be. Like, it's definitely high up on Marvel's best endings for a movie, behind, at that time, the original Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy. Even the part at the end with the quantum realm, I thought that was a good sequence as well, and a hint of what's going to happen later on down the road when they actually go into the quantum realm. It's kind of like the end of Big Hero 6, except done better and not copping out in any way, shape, or form. Although that part does lead to my negative point about the movie, and as much as I like the end, I thought it was hard to buy the fact that Scott was probably going to die because, well, he had already been announced for Captain America Civil War, so you could have easily just made that announcement after the movie came out, after everybody had seen the film, but no, it's already been announced at that point that he's going to be in Captain America Civil War, so it's just like, oops, that takes the whole theory that Scott could end up dying and just kind of like puts it away and all that, but it would have made more sense if Marvel had announced that Paul Rudd was going to be in Cap after Ant-Man came out, but again, it just kind of took the emotional output of the scene with me. One of the other complaints I had with it is that it's a very predictable story, and as you can start to see with Marvel's formula, starting to show signs of we're kind of doing the same thing over and over again. It would help in the next couple movies if they did take a chance and do something different with the formula, with the storyline, which they would end up doing with Civil War and Doctor Strange and even with Avengers Infinity War. But the film had a lot of scripting troubles overall, so I could see why they kind of went with a predictable superhero origin story, but it would have been nice for more of a changeover. And like I said, Doctor Strange and then Black Panther, I think, will more than suffice for that. But my biggest complaint overall is that the same can mostly be said for the MCU, is that they gotta get better villains for this movie. I mean, Ultron was at least a refreshing change from the last couple of movies, and he was probably my favorite villain in the second phase of the universe, behind the Winter Soldier and Captain America the Winter Soldier, but Ultron came pretty close. But with the Yellow Jacket, like I said, he's just a straight-up cartoonishly evil bad guy. There are scenes in the movie where he's clearly evil, and nobody ever puts it together. This guy is the bad guy. It's just kind of like, come on, man. Corey Stoll looked at this as a change. Probably looked at this as a change of what we're used to seeing him play and stuff like The Strain and also House of Cards. But like I said, he doesn't come off as a good villain in this. He's fine, but he's clearly not hiding the fact that he's evil overall. But like I said, it's better than what they do with him later on in Quantumania. It's just kind of like, what the hell were you guys thinking with that? But Ant-Man, regardless, this is a worthy addition to the MCU, and it's one that definitely deserves more expansion as we get along here, and they do expand it, at least with the next movie, and also a little bit with Quantumania, and you see how Scott's going to play a big part in this, and also the Avengers Endgame, in the two-part Avengers movie, which we didn't know was going to be him in Avengers Endgame, but it's a good, fun superhero movie that doesn't need to take itself too seriously and gets by with what they've got to work with here. It's a solid, entertaining movie. It works. It works very well. It makes for good, fun summer escapism. A little bit more creativity would have helped it in the end, but I still enjoyed the hell out of the movie. I thought it was very, very well done. So that's Ant-Man for you. So let's go ahead and take a look at the other big new release of the weekend, and that's Judd Apatow's latest film, Trainwreck.
Entertainment Weekly loves Amy Schumer.
What kind of charitable work do you do? I slept with a lot of fat guys in college.
Comedy's funny, filthy, fearless new voice.
I'm just a modern chick who does what she wants. Ooh, I like Tom's sweater. Why is he dressed like Melissa Etheridge? Don't get all threatened just because you don't understand the concept of marriage. You dress him like that so nobody else wants to have sex with him? That's cool.
Hey! Amy, I need a profile on a sports doctor.
Walk normal for a second.
Like this?
You want to get a drink?
Yes.
From the producer of Bridesmaids.
I slept at the doctor's place last night. You never spend the night.
Oh, you getting hot and wild?
Why do you always want to know this stuff, LeBron?
Just give me a couple details, like 11.
11 details?
This is not your mother's romantic comedy.
How many girls have you slept with?
I've slept with 3 women.
Me too. I have slept with 3 women too.
Trainwreck.
Penetrate her defense, make a strong move to the hole.
Is that a basketball analogy?
Could be soccer.
Is it soccer?
No, it's basketball.
Rated R.
Where the hell was that in Space Jam 2, man? I mean, you look at this movie and you see LeBron James, and it's just kind of like, man, this guy's got a bright future as an actor once he's done with the NBA. But then you see Space Jam: A New Legacy, and it's just kind of like, what happened to you, man? What did 6 years do to you that made you go from Trainwreck to that? But we'll touch on LeBron James in just a second here. But Trainwreck. Since she was a little girl, it's been drilled into Amy's head by her rascal of a dad that monogamy isn't realistic. Now a magazine writer, she lives by the credo that enjoying what she feels is an uninhibited life free from stifling, boring romantic commitment. But in actuality, she is kind of in a rut. She finds herself starting to fall for the subject of her newest article she's writing, a charming and successful sports doctor played by Bill Hader. Amy starts to wonder if other grown-ups, including the guy who really seems to like her, might be onto something. And I want to say, man, that it's great that there was a time when Amy Schumer was not seen as this pariah of comedy. She actually did have a very bright future ahead of her, and she was one of the funniest comedians working around the time this was coming out. Inside Amy Schumer was a great show. She had shown some promise in some other movies as well, and she got a chance to show what she can do as a leading actress in here, and there was a bright future ahead of her. But again, kind of like with LeBron James, she kind of took the half-ass way out, and every movie she starred in after this didn't really work out well for her. There were a couple of films that she wasn't too bad in, but yeah, comedy-wise, like, she went from this to Snatched, and then more recently, Happily Pregnant, and it's just kind of like, what happened to you, man? Like, or woman, whatever, but I really enjoyed this movie. I actually thought at one point it was one of my favorite Judd Apatow movies. Probably my favorite Judd Apatow movie he directed. And, you know, at that point, he was unstoppable. Like, he made a lot of good movies. 40-Year-Old Virgin, Knocked Up, Funny People, This Is 40. This might have been my favorite film of his at that time, but it's a really fucking funny movie, man. It's a lot of it a tribute to Schumer writing the script for it herself, which is basically based on her past relationships, and it's a solidly funny script. It's an anti-cliched romantic comedy written the way good romantic comedy should be. Schumer shows a lot of charisma on screen while also retaining her stand-up personality, as well as she really does have the potential to become that great leading comedic actress we all thought she was going to be if she keeps attributing herself for these roles, but like I said, it didn't really work out that way. But, you know, Bill Hader was really good, too. Bill Hader has always been great overall, but the rest of the cast is really good, too. You got Brie Larson as her sister in here, of course, before she won the Academy Award for Room, which, hey, you know, Captain Marvel can act. Who knew? So, I knew, but not many people online did. But Colin Quinn was really good as Amy's father. Tilda Swinton, Mike Birbiglia, John Glazer, Vanessa Bayer, Method Man, Jim Norton, Randall Park, Dave Attell. A lot of good celebrity cameos in here. There were two in particular that really got me going like, wow, these guys are really good. One was John Cena. Keep in mind, John Cena, this was actually one of his first movies where it really showed, needless to say, he came a long way since films like The Marine and 12 Rounds, where you look at him and he's like, this guy is actually really, really funny. And he's in another movie later on in the year from Universal where he has kind of a similar role in It's Sisters, where he's actually really good in it too. Like, he proves he can be really funny, and he actually has potential as a comedic actor. But like I said, the biggest surprise in the movie was LeBron James in his role in here. He was incredibly funny in this. Had a lot of really good moments in here. He just came off as one of the highlights of the movie. Like, if he could get more roles like this, where he plays a supporting character to the main cast, instead of trying to do what Shaquille O'Neal and Michael Jordan tried to do, I thought he would have had a successful film career. But of course, Space Jam 2 comes out 6 years later, and it's just kind of like, what are you doing, dude? Like, I mean, he's not even, there are times when it's just like, wow, you're not even trying, are you? But there is a couple of complaints I have with the movie. My biggest complaint is that it does go on a little bit long. It's over 2 hours long, and I know that most of Judd Apatow's movies are 2 hours long, but at the same time, there's easily stuff you could have cut out of the movie. The biggest one, I think, you could have cut out the Ezra Miller character. And keep in mind, this is 8 years before Ezra Miller's true instincts and true personality came out, but he was not funny in this movie. He wasn't important to the story. He was just obnoxious and annoying, and his appearance in the movie just took the film down a whole lot. That role could have taken 30 minutes out of this movie, and he would have had it's because the whole, let's think about a relationship and go into separate corners thing. It's just kind of like, come on, man. Like, you didn't need this in here, but it almost ruined the movie for me. But the ending scene where she's dancing at Madison Square Garden in the romantic comedy happy ending, that worked. That made it worth it in the end. So it really is one of the best romantic comedies to come out in a long time, and probably the best movie Judd Apatow has ever made as a director. Amy Schumer's writing, acting abilities work really well. Bill Hader is great in here. The casting is terrific. Had they cut that 30 minutes out of there, this would have probably been one of the best movies of the year. But as it is, I enjoyed the hell out of it. It was definitely the best comedy I saw that summer, and there was not a whole lot of really good comedies that summer to begin with, but nevertheless, it's a great movie. It's a great film, and I highly recommend checking it out if you want to see Amy Schumer being funny and actually being worthy compared to some of her other movies that she's made more recently. But so yeah, that's Trainwreck. So let's go ahead and move on to some of the smaller movies that came out this weekend, including our first movie here that we have Ian McKellen as Mr. Holmes.
Name is Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
Was that him?
The world world's greatest detective may be retired.
My mother wonders if you have brought your famous hat.
I've never worn one.
And a pipe.
I prefer a cigar.
But that doesn't mean he's off the case.
You've come about your wife.
My Anne has changed.
It is highly poisonous.
A drop will more than suffice.
Critics rave. Ian McKellen is magnificent.
Always leaves a trace.
Mr. Holmes, rated PG, July 17.
And no, I won't torture you with another me and Mr. Holmes song that I tried to do yesterday, but, yeah, this was actually an unexpected movie that I was kind of surprised I actually really enjoyed. So, set primarily during his retirement in Sussex, the film follows a 93-year-old Sherlock Holmes, played by Ian McKellen, who struggles to recall the details of his final case before his mind slowly deteriorates. Laura Linney plays his housekeeper, and Milo Parker plays her son Roger. And it's funny that he's 93 in this, even though Ian McKellen was less than 70 years old when this came out. I think he was like 64, 65, but regardless, this was actually kind of a surprising good movie, man. I mean, it's cool to see these different ways that people bring Sherlock Holmes to the big screen. You get, like, the action hero Sherlock Holmes with the Robert Downey Jr. movies. You get these smaller films like, the Michael Caine Sherlock Holmes movie Without a Clue, the younger Sherlock Holmes, young Sherlock Holmes from back in the 80s, and now you have this one with a 93-year-old Sherlock Holmes, and it just works, man. Bill Condon directed this, who did Dreamgirls, and also, what else did he do? He did Dreamgirls, and he also did, I'm trying to think what else he did that I liked. Kinsey, but needless to say, it's definitely a return to form for him after the Twilight Saga, Breaking Dawn's Part 1 and 2, and The Fifth Estate. I mean, those movies are terrible, but this is a good return to form for him. It's a smaller movie. It's a movie that works because Ian McKellen has given it his all in this movie, and you do buy him as Sherlock Holmes. He is very good in the film. Laura Linney has a good role in here, too. It's not a long movie at all. It's only about a little over 100 minutes long, about 2 hours long, and it never bores you. It never gets you feeling like, okay, wrap this up already, B. It's just like, no, it never does that, and it does work overall. It's a very intriguing film, a smaller film you probably never even heard of, but I highly recommend checking it out if you haven't seen it. Mr. Holmes is definitely one to definitely see, so let's go ahead and move on to our last movie, the latest film from Woody Allen, which probably isn't a good sign if I can't even remember that movie, but here it is, Joaquin Phoenix and Emma Stone in Irrational Man.
Abe Lucas is going to be joining the faculty this summer.
Your paper was quite good.
He's very radical. You either love him or hate him.
I haven't been able to perform in nearly a year.
Oh boy, that's just one of his problems.
I can't write, can't breathe.
Your professor's got an alcohol problem.
Just what the world needs. One day a person has complicated problems.
You suffer from despair.
This was the meaningful act I was searching for.
Yeah, for somebody who loves Woody Allen and has seen all of his movies, when I can't even remember this movie even existed, it's probably not a good sign in general. But Woody Allen's Irrational Man is about a tormented philosophy professor who finds a will to live when he commits an existential act. Abe Lucas, played by Joaquin Phoenix, is at rock bottom emotionally, unable to find any meaning or joy in life, and Abe feels that everything he's tried to do, from political activism to teaching, hasn't made any difference. Soon after arriving to teach at a small-town college, Abe gets involved with two women, Rita Richards, played by Parker Posey, a lonely professor who wants him to rescue her from her unhappy marriage, and Jill Pollard, played by Emma Stone, her best student, who becomes his close friend. While Jill loves his boyfriend Roy, played by Jamie Blackley, she finds Abe's tortured artistic personality and exotic past irresistible. Even as Abe displays signs of mental imbalance, Jill's fascination with him only grows. Still, when she tries to make the relationship a romantic one, he rebuffs her. Pure change changes everything, with Abe and Jill overhearing a stranger's conversation and become drawn in. Once Abe makes a profound choice, he is able to embrace life to the fullest again, but his decision sets off a chain that will affect him, Jill, and Rita forever. And really, the reason why this movie is so forgettable is because I think Woody Allen looked at this and went, I'm just going to go on autopilot for this one. Because, yeah, it really did feel like a movie where he did not put any real effort into this whatsoever. I mean, this was a half-assed production by him. This felt like a movie where he literally had a concept and pitches for an idea on board, and Allen just said, fuck it, let me just go ahead and put them together and hope a script comes out of it. And it just doesn't. It really does feel like he was really cruising on this one here, and this is one of those ones where it really does feel like he didn't put his all into it. And despite the best that Joaquin Phoenix, Parker Posey, and Emma Stone could do for this, it's not worth it when the script is this terrible. it's one of Woody Allen's worst movies ever. It's a film where it's just kind of like, come on, man, you're better than this. And it basically it's kind of a ripoff of Vicky Cristina Barcelona in a way, or a number of other different movies that are much better than this. It just doesn't work. It's a movie where it's just kind of like, again, you just felt like Woody Allen is really like just putting it out there because I got to put a movie out there somehow. Okay, I'll stop with the bad Woody Allen impression, but needless to say, he will get better again with his next movie, Cafe Society. But this one, yeah, it's pretty bad. Pretty bad. And thus, with all that said, we wrap up another episode of Time About the Movies, and the next time we meet, we'll take a look at Adam Sandler starring in the video game action-adventure Pixels, which, on paper, sounds like a good idea. Sounds like a film that's completely different outside of his norm, directed by Chris Columbus, and you think nothing can go wrong with this. Yeah, something went wrong with it. But we have Jake Gyllenhaal starring in the boxing drama Southpaw. We have the follow-up for the writer of The Fault in Our Stars with his latest film, Paper Towns. And we have the Vatican tapes. Gee, I wonder what type of a movie that's going to be. If you don't know, then you'll see tomorrow. But with all that said, thank you so much for watching this, and I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the previous episode we did. With all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.